Hi everyone, this is Master Matt, and today I'm going to be taking you through yet another stretching routine. Today we're going to be focusing on passive stretches. I know I have videos on active, dynamic, and PNF stretches, but today we're going to focus on the passive stretches, and these are good stretches to do at the end of your workout after you've already activated and worked your muscles, and we're just going to be very lightly pulling and stretching them to their flexibility ranges. Passive stretches involve bringing your muscles to a comfortable stretch, but without using any of your own effort, so you're not going to contribute any effort into the stretch, which means we're going to use external forces like another person, or if you're alone like I am, we're going to use a wall or the ground to oppose our force. That way we can dig into our muscles and get a good stretch. This is not meant to be an intense stretching routine at all. This is something you can throw in at the end of a workout or before bed. I did a leg workout earlier today, and I'm going to use this as something to stretch my muscles a bit so that I'm a little less sore tomorrow. But this is just meant to be light and easy, but relaxing for your muscles. When you don't have a lot of energy and you don't want to put a lot of effort into your stretching, but you still want to get some kind of routine in, this is what you can do. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So like I said, we're going to be using external forces to help our stretches. I have a belt here for a couple of the stretches. Also, this pole behind me I'm going to be using. You can use a wall. I'm just trying to be minimalist to give you a lot of room for creativity, but they have a lot of different apparatuses you can use. You can use a wider wall for different stretches. You can use one of those split machines. But again, I'm just going to use the bare minimum, and we're going to go ahead and start with our lunge. So I'm going to get comfortable into my lunge position, try to even up my knee over my heel. And we're just going to sit in each stretch without moving. Just get to the point where you can feel the stretch that you're supposed to feel. And the only movement you want to do is, after sitting a few seconds in it, you start to feel comfortable and you stop feeling the stretch, you can obviously go deeper, so you continue feeling that. And that can help you increase your flexibility. But we're going to try to spend roughly a minute in each of these stretches. I don't have a timer, so I'm just going to eyeball it. But again, this is just something light, something you don't have to put a lot of energy into. It's not going to take long. It's not intense. It's not going to wear you out. If anything, it should give you energy. For those days when you want to stretch and you don't want to just do nothing, but you don't have a lot of energy to do something. So this is the best of both worlds. Important that we're breathing throughout these stretches. That can help us deepen into our flexibility. I'm going to go ahead and switch sides. So these passive stretches, you can use them to deepen your flexibility, just like any static stretch, where you sit over time and then go deeper into your stretch past your current flexibility range. And then you can do multiple sets of any of these stretches, and that can definitely help you get deeper. But it can also just be something that you can use to maintain your current flexibility if you don't feel like really pushing yourself, which you shouldn't always have to feel that way. Doing something like this is just fine. All right, good job. We're going to now use this wall and sit in our butterfly position. I'm just gonna use my hands to kind of push the knees down. To me, this is more passive than not using a wall and grabbing onto your ankles and pulling your body forward. The wall is gonna resist me a lot more than I can resist myself. And then my hands here are just giving added stretch. So you notice that a lot of these stretches that I'm doing, we've used these in the other forms of stretching, like in the active stretching or in the PNF stretching routine. And that just shows you that it's just the method and the way that you're going about the stretch that determines how it helps you. So you can do a lot of the same stretches and just do them in different ways, and that will keep it different for your body so that you don't get too used to it and so that it keeps producing results for you. All right, very good. We're going to move on into the middle split. So come up nice and easy. I'm just going to open my legs here in the middle. I did some weights with my legs earlier today, and they're already starting to feel tight. So I can tell you from experience that doing something like this makes tomorrow a lot more bearable than if I didn't do it at all. It's a good process to have where you do muscle movement first to activate them, which is like dynamic stretching, and then the muscle building, which would be your workout with weights or whatever you're doing, HIIT or cardio, and then finishing up by stretching the muscles statically, passively like this. That kind of routine will give you the best results and help you recover the fastest while still maintaining the range and the mobility and the flexibility that you currently have. So we're not going to go into the front splits in this routine. You can definitely do that if you want to, but I'm just keeping this simple, so I'm going to come back up and I'm going to go into my knee split. Where I open my knees as wide as I feel comfortable and line up my heels with the knees, and then I just try to bring my hands close to me and sit back. Just feel the hips and the groin open up. And again, it's definitely not easy if you're not used to doing stretching before and after your workouts. For the longest time, I didn't really pay attention to that. But I've been shortening my workouts so that I can make time at the beginning and at the end to do quick stretching. Now, I might not always do something 15 minutes on each end. It might just be 5 minutes, but that still works wonders, and it makes a big difference that I've noticed in my muscles and my recovery. And I'm speaking for myself, but I know it works that way for a lot of people, and I've heard the same testimonies. So I encourage you to try that if you're not already doing something along those lines. And then I'm going to ease my body forward to where my hips reach the ground. And then I'm going to bring my feet together. I'll try to keep my knees where they were. Touch my feet together, and then I'm going to ease my feet behind me towards the ground in the frog split. Most important to maintain your hips on the ground, and then get your feet as close as they can. Sometimes the certain stretches, when they get intense, they're just hard to bring myself to do. But these are something I can always do. They just feel good. They don't require a lot of energy. I can multitask if I'm doing work or something. In a lot of these stretches, I can still do that, just in a different position. And that'll do a lot better if you're a desk worker that sits at a chair for many hours a day. Your legs, your hips, your back get really tight, and I'm going to start moving positions. We're going to lay on our back. And I'm going to grab my knee and bring it in towards my chest. Straighten my opposite leg. Just breathe. But, breaking up that sitting time for the many people that do office work is important. And we see a lot of back problems and a lot of hip issues with people that don't try to mitigate that and try to add routines, movement into their daily sitting times. Now, back problems are pretty easy to spot because you're going to have back pain. And you can't really ignore that, but sometimes your hip issues are not noticeable because they're not muscles that you're using much anyway if you don't use them. But that leads to tightening your hips, obviously, but tightening the muscles in your legs, which can, I'm going to switch sides, lead to knee problems, which then you will start to feel. And then by then you have multiple things you have to address. So it's always best to work proactively and try to keep your hips as flexible as you can to avoid the domino effect of issues they can cause in the rest of your legs. All right, we're gonna grab our belt or whatever you have. If you don't have a belt, you can still make this work, and I'll tell you how. But we're gonna be doing our hamstring stretch by just laying back, wrapping the belt around our foot, and just pulling it to a comfortable spot. I'm not gonna go to my range of flexibility. I'm just gonna be easy today. And if you don't have a band, you can just grab onto your leg and keep it as straight as possible. But having this band makes this the most passive stretch that it can be because you're using the band as resistance instead of yourself. And you could be doing this with a person pushing against your foot, your leg. And that's really the most passive stretch you can have. And you can do your wall splits. I do those almost every day. Just spend a couple of minutes at least just opening up, and it requires nothing but time from you. That's what makes these manageable. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch legs. Same thing, I'm just pulling up until I feel a stretch in my hamstring. If you want to be more exact on this, you can grab a timer and set 60 seconds for each of these. It's a pretty good time for a cool down. But I honestly don't like using timers, and I know I've said I do. But I only like using those if I'm in a certain workout routine where it benefits me to stay on track with something, or if I'm in a pinch and I need to complete something in a certain amount of time. But when I'm doing just stretching like this, I like to more listen to my body and go until I feel ready to move on. If I have extra time, which I do today. That's all up to you. These are more just ideas and suggestions. All right, I'm gonna go back to my first leg, and we're gonna finish up with similar stretch to what we just did. I'm gonna lift my leg, and then I'm gonna bring it across my body just a bit. Now I wanna feel the stretch in my hip as well as the hamstring. So I'm just gonna pull it across. I don't wanna lift my shoulder off the ground because that's gonna ease my stretch. I'm gonna try to keep my back flat and just bring the leg across. You shouldn't have to bring it too far until you feel the tension in your hip. Okay, and then we're gonna ease onto the other side to finish up. I'm just gonna pull across my body until I feel that stretch. And since we're finishing, this will be the last stretch, so I'm gonna finish the video here. I can keep my video shorter if I close out while I'm in this last stretch. But again, these are just our passive stretches. These are stretches that I would recommend doing after a workout or any kind of routine where you're activating your muscles, building your muscles, whatever. So this is perfect to throw in there, but you can just do this on its own if you don't have much energy to do any other kind of stretching for the day. The passive stretches are really nice, and I can guarantee you'll feel better after you do that. But again, that's going to be it. Those are our passive stretches. You can sprinkle these into other workouts or other stretching routines. I know I have these videos of just active stretches or PNF stretches, but that's more just to demonstrate many different types of those stretches at a time. In reality, when you're doing a lengthy stretching routine, you'd sprinkle different types, and I do have videos of that as well. But I hope you learned something from this video. That's our passive stretches. Thank you guys for watching, and keep training.